Everyone has 15 minutes. If you want to take a few moments for an opening statement or opening comments, I know you've been before us a few times before, and then after that, you get a question, maybe tell us something you think we from the application would be helpful.
Okay. My biographical information is in there. The bottom line, I've been practicing law now for close to 27 years. 23 of those years, I've been litigating cases. I've practiced at all levels of the trial and appellate courts in the state of Florida. I've appeared before the Florida Supreme Court. And for the past 4 years, I've been serving as a general magistrate. That's given me the opportunity to really retool the way that I look at cases, the way that I think about problems, the way that I analyze those problems. So rather than being an advocate where you're taking an approach whereby you're arguing a position, I've now had the opportunity to learn how to take that problem and view it sort of from a bird's eye view, to look at that from above and use a different decision-making process. I don't think that it's appropriate to treat people necessarily fairly. I think it's appropriate to treat people equally. What I try to avoid is any sort of a results-based decision process. I think that the judge's job and my job as a magistrate is to ensure that the process is the best that it can be. I think the judge's role is to simply evaluate the law and understand the law. And the best thing that the judges can do for the public is to innovate those processes and protect those processes. So in that vein, the things that I've done throughout my career as an attorney, as a general magistrate, I've written a substantial portion of the time-sharing guidelines that are being used by the 18th Judicial Circuit. One of those has to do with what parents need to do in the event of an emergency or an evacuation. That is unique to the 18th Judicial Circuit. It's being included, I'm told, for possible inclusion considered for possible inclusion in Our Family Wizard, which is a software program that is used across the United States for families that are trying to communicate with each other following a divorce or a separation or entry of a parenting plan. I've created a process in the courthouse whereby when parties complete family mediation, they're able to come directly to the general magistrate to get the case finalized. It avoids the buyer's remorse that we typically see in mediation cases. It saves the party's time. It saves the party's money. It saves the attorney's time. And perhaps most importantly, it gets cases off of the docket so the judges don't have to deal with them. The Marchman Act is a provision of the law that allows the courts to order somebody to involuntary treatment as a result of substance abuse. That set of statutes had been largely dormant in Brevard County for a number of years, and Judge Davidson decided to resurrect that process. She and I have done that together. I wrote all of the forms that are being used for the Marchman Act procedures. I've created all the procedures that are being used for the disposition of those cases. It's not perfect. But it is something that we're working on, and we are able to dispose of those cases effectively. Along with Judge Taylor, we created a flow chart that allows pro se individuals to navigate the litigation process in terms of the dissolution of marriage cases. So the flow chart allows them to come in, understand what the issues are, and find those forms that will most appropriately help them navigate the divorce process. In serving the public, I've staffed family law clinics for Brevard Legal Aid. I've offered my services as an attorney to active duty service members and veterans on a pro bono basis, and I give a significant amount of my time to the Boy Scouts of America. To be frank, my passion is for family law. My greatest area of experience is in the area of family law. That's where I would like to be. That's a position that I would enjoy in serving. In the interest of full disclosure, I have to sort of make an or tennis motion to modify my application. There was a question regarding whether or not I've been a party to a lawsuit. I was involved in a car accident last year. Evidently, the insurance companies weren't able to solve that matter, and I was served with a complaint on Tuesday. The case number is 18CA0466.
Okay.
Oh,
We're good on that.
I just want to be sure it doesn't involve drugs, it doesn't involve alcohol, it doesn't involve any bad behavior. It was a car accident. So I'm a defendant. And so those are the remarks that I've prepared. I hope you have found them helpful. Any questions?
Perfect. before I defer to my colleagues, I do want to let you know, I'm not sure if you do know, because this is very recent, that in all probability and almost certainty, this seat is going to be a family law division seat, that Judge Polk is going to go into a circuit civil seat. It's not necessarily going to be in Titusville, but I just want to make sure, because that's within your wheelhouse, so whoever gets this position is going to be serving in the family capacity. And with that, Donna, I'll refer to you.
Good morning, Assistant Magistrate. Since the last time you were here, I do remember you talking about these type of processes that you were very interested in the family division and making them better. You discussed the things that you had worked on in the past. Do you have a vision for the future if you were to be appointed to the circuit bench that you would employ?
I think one of the things that I would like to do is talk to the clerk's office about identifying the cases assigned to me right off the bat, and instituting a situation similar to what they do in federal civil cases. That is sort of a standing order as far as how these cases are going to proceed. Set up discovery cutoffs, set up case management conferences, and try to foresee how long the case is going to take to litigate. Because in my experience, the family law cases, they follow this curve where they ramp up and everybody gets very excited about what's going on. There's a flurry of discovery as people complete mandatory disclosure, and then the cases just kind of drop off and they sit. There's requests for jury trials. The cases are set for trial depending on whether it's in front of me, another magistrate, or the judge in months, or in some cases a year later. And so I think with more effective front-end scheduling, not only can we identify some problems and iron those problems out before they become real problems that are harder to manage on the other side of a final judgment, we can try and manage those problems on the front end and get a better result.
Phil?
Good morning, and thanks for coming. I don't think we've had much interaction, but I'm very well aware of the reputation and what you've done in the community, and look at your application in front of you.
Thanks, sir.
David?
Following up on what Donna asked, if you were to get this appointment, knowing that it's likely to be in a similar area, how do you think that you are, what are you looking forward to being able to do in that position that you aren't able to now, whether that's effectuating new ideas or reforming processes?
Everything that I do, I get permission, and I don't, intend to go rogue and just kind of go off and create these crazy procedures and ideas without discussing them with people. Clearly, I would solicit the opinions of people in the community, the bar, to decide if what I'm doing is right. But this gives me access to resources to do the things that I think are appropriate. And while I've been treated with a great deal of respect as a magistrate, sometimes I feel like the help. And I think that suggestions received from a circuit judge are much better received. And I think it puts me in a better position to talk to people that may not necessarily want to speak to me. And as I said, everything that I do needs to be cleared with the judges. And I found them very easy to work with, and not many of my ideas have been rejected. I hope that answers.
Andrew?
Sir, you've been before us before. I was thoroughly impressed with you before. I'm impressed with you again. I just had, because I remember your application before, and this seems new. In 51, you talk about a thorough knowledge of substantive and procedural aspects of various aspects of the law. And I deal in business litigation a lot, and you mentioned international law. And I was curious as to what specifically you had in your background where you dealt with international law.
International, I've handled several cases involving the Hague Convention on the international aspects of child abduction. It's also the International Child Abduction Remedies Act. So those were cases in which a child was wrongfully removed from the place of their habitual residence and taken over international lines. And so we requested that in each case the federal court get involved and make decisions concerning where this child really needed to. And I mean, that's the extent of my international.
Thank you.
And then, to the extent the question pertains to business, my mother owned an employee leasing company in Indian River County. My brother's an attorney, And so we sort of had a tag team approach to representing her every time she got sued for various, there were harassment claims, there were wage claims, so we took turns doing those.
Those retainers must have been quite lucrative.
Indeed, they were brisket.
Captain?
Yes, sir, thank you. If you were selected for this position, and a year or 2 years from now, you have to run a campaign, are you ready for that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
That's great. Good to see you again. I think you, 2016, we had sent you up, or you applied, yeah.
Yes.
In that 2-year period, can you think of any significant event in your life, whether it be personal or professional, that would be helpful for us in saying, yeah, we're going to do this again. We think he's ready and our guy.
Well, like I said, I've been involved with try to change and innovate, some of these procedures within the courts. The Marchman Acts came up within the past year or so. I hear cases, I dispose of them as quickly as I can. I don't think anybody's really ever waited much more than a week for any one of my decisions. I'm a very boring person, so I go to work, I go home with my family, hang out with the Boy Scouts. So, there really hasn't been anything significant in my life.
Have you done that hike yet out in New Mexico? I forgot if you said the name of that.
No, I have
You know what I'm
not.
talking about? It's,
I do.
it's life-changing, I'm told.
Yeah, we've hiked portions of the Appalachian Trail, but we haven't gotten to New Mexico yet.
You think you want us to lead you guys as well?
That'd be great.
Okay. Dan?
I have no questions.
Magistrate, you're a numbers guy. What percentage of your report recommendations are objected to? You know?
I'm told I get all the reports and recommendations. I think I've read 9 or 10
That have been objected to?
that where exceptions have been filed.
Exceptions have been filed.
Yeah, I think I read about maybe a dozen.
That's it?
Yeah. So maybe my assistant's protected.
And what percent would that be of the amount you do?
Oh,
Less than 1%?
1.0, yeah.
Look, I can tell my colleagues I practice before Magistrate Segal on a regular basis. He is one of the finest jurists we have in our county. Hands down. Simple as that. And I mean that, Rob.
Thank you.
Any other follow-up questions? Have a nice day.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. It was nice seeing you.